At the foot of Lingqi Peak, outside the call at the entrance to the Lingqi secret realm, a group of guards were sparring with each other. They are the guards of the Phil family in Chi'er province and have been responsible for patrolling the foot of Lingqi Peak in the past 2 months. Lingqi Peak is the entrance to the Lingqi secret realm. Although it is only opened once every 10 years, although under normal circumstances, there will be no double-eye problems. However, the Phil family in charge of the Lingqi secret realm will normally arrange a team of guards to guard it. Rotated every 2 months. Such an errand is called exile among the guards of the Phil family. Indeed, patrolling in such a mountainous forest where there is no shit and no oil or water, although no one comes regardless of them, it's almost like being exiled. The 4 members of this team of guards faced each other in pairs, attacking each other, while the rest were cheering from the sidelines. Except for the captain, who is a low-level 5th-level sect spiritual master, the rest of the team members most of the strength is between half a pound and half, and there is not much difference. Haha, old ghost, teasy, you 2 lose this time. Today's Tooth Festival at noon will be taken care of by you 2. Suddenly, 2 guards accidentally lost a move, and the people on the side laughed loudly and yelled. Damn it! One of the guards, known as Lao Gue, cursed. He and another middle-aged guard walked toward the forest with their long swords in hand. At the foot of Lingqi Peak, there is a large base of the Phil family, and there is no shortage of food there. The so-called tooth sacrifices are game in the mountains and forests, which is a great pleasure to guard here. Haha, old ghost, stop complaining. If you have the ability, you can get the situation back next time. Seeing the unwilling expression on the old ghost's face, someone in the crowd laughed loudly. Everyone couldn't help laughing. At this moment, boom. A shocking sound suddenly sounded throughout the entire mountain forest, like a thunderbolt in a clear sky, which shook the hearts of all the guards present. At the same time, the entire mountain forest shook like an earthquake. What happened? Everyone had a look of confusion on their faces and looked around, with a hint of fear in their eyes. Look, what's going on at Lingqi Peak? Suddenly, a guard shouted suddenly, his eyes closed. Staring at the Lingqi Peak in front of him, his eyes showed a horrified light. Everyone immediately focused their attention on the direction of Lingqi Peak. They saw that the originally majestic Lingqi Peak, towering into the sky, was constantly shaking. Roads of cyan rays of light continued to pass from everywhere on Lingqi Peak, radiating extremely powerful energy. Spiritual power fluctuations. This as everyone was stunned, their eyes widened. Run! The first person to react was the captain of the escort team. He was a tall, middle-aged man with a calm expression and a pair of bright eyes, but at this moment he was full of horror. He didn't know what exactly happened in Lingqi Peak, but he knew that the powerful spiritual power fluctuations transmitted from Lingqi Peak were enough to turn everyone present into powder. With his roar, all the stunned guard captains came to their senses and rushed wildly towards the distance. Boom, boom, boom. Earth-shattering roars kept coming from behind. The entire Lingqi Peak collapsed in an instant. Countless cyan glow spread out with indescribable powerful spiritual power, and continued to spread out. All the rebels were drowned. Concubine. It's like the end of the world collapses. Countless green glow covered the sky, and with the huge roar, even the space was distorted. The guard captain only felt his eyes go dark, and he passed out instantly. Ahem. I don't know how long it took. The guard captain finally woke up. With a splitting headache, he stood up with difficulty. The whole person was extremely sleepy. Old ghost, teasy, he roared in a hoarse voice, trying to find his team members. However, the entire mountain forest was silent, without any echo, and countless big trees fell aside, making it a mess. What happened before? The guard captain turned his head and looked in the direction of Lingqi Peak. However, when he looked at it, he was suddenly stunned. In his sight, the original Lingqi Peak had long since disappeared. What stands there now is a dark red mountain, and around the mountain is a dense forest, which looks extremely strange. As the guard captain sent by the Phil family to patrol the foot of Lingqi Peak, the middle-aged man is naturally very familiar with the mountains and forests near Lingqi Peak. He is sure that the jungle that appears in front of him at this moment is definitely not the original one at the foot of Lingqi Peak. That jungle, the trees in this jungle are taller and more vibrant. Is this the secret realm of the spiritual pool? The secret realm of the spiritual pool has appeared? The guard captain felt extremely shocked in his heart and couldn't help but murmured. Huh? What is that? At this moment, the guard captain seemed to see a blue light flashing past the dark red mountain peak. When he wanted to take a closer look, the mountain peak was empty and there was nothing. It must be my judgment. The guard captain shook his head. The previous impact of spiritual energy gave him a splitting headache and a dizzy head. Ho, ho! At this moment, the roars of spiritual beasts came from the forest in front of them, and a powerful aura spread, and the guard captain's expression suddenly changed. No longer caring about looking for him as a member of the team, the spiritual power within his body instantly spurted out and flew quickly towards the outskirts of the Lingqi Mountains. A big incident, this is a big mistake, the guard captain said with horror on his face. He needed to inform the family of the changes that happened on Lingqi Peak as quickly as possible. If the secret realm of Lingqi really appeared, enough to shock the entire province, and even the empire, hey, it's a good thing I broke through to the 5th level senior sect spirit master, otherwise, the previous attack would definitely kill me, but it's okay, I finally walked out of this place. The secret realm of Lingqi. Just when the guard captain went back to report as quickly as possible, in a jungle in the Lingqi Mountains, a young man who was in a mess and full of wounds was screaming. His body was full of wounds, with streaks of blood and open flesh, covering his whole body like a slightly open mouth, which looked extremely terrifying. This young man is Jason, who has been in the secret realm of the spirit pool for 10 months. At the moment when the secret realm of the spirit pool collapsed, Jason didn't care about anything and hid in a corner of the Blood Abyss Mountain. He drank all the elixirs in the space ring that could enhance defense and physical strength. The spiritual power in his body was in the spirit god. Under the operation of the art, the flow also reached extreme speed. At the same time, the 5 spiritual rings were released. The elemental barrier and the body of life were also triggered by him, guarding around the body. It was by relying on these that Jason was able to survive the collapse of the spiritual pool secret realm. However, even so, his body was still indescribably seriously injured in the spiritual storm of the void collapse. His whole body was full of scars and was in a state of embarrassment. Incomparable. After coming out, Jason did not rush to heal his wounds. Instead, he used his wings of lightning and flew hundreds of miles before stopping in a mountain forest. He crossed his legs and began to heal. The 5th level spiritual ring trembled, and the cyan ball above Jason's spiritual seat suddenly accelerated its rotation. Countless powerful cyan spiritual powers surged out of the cyan ball, and then entered Jason's body. Jason felt as if his body came to life in an instant, and an indescribable vitality was flowing through his body. All the wounds on his body became itchy in an instant, which made him unbearable. He groaned. The spiritual skills brought by the 5th level spiritual ring are like healing skills that release a magical wood-based life vitality, which Jason calls the body of life. The magical wood-based life released by the cyan beads vitality is constantly flowing in his body, seeping into every wound on his body. The densely packed and terrifying wounds on Jason's body were slowly healing at a speed visible to the naked eye. This collection of scenes immediately surprised Jason. However, Jason did not stop, but continued to cross his legs there, constantly instigating the cyan orb in his mind, releasing the powerful life force of the wood element. 2 hours after that, Jason's eyes suddenly opened and burst out with a dazzling light. In 2 hours, just 2 hours, his previously devastated body had become round and smooth, and there was no longer any trace of scars, whole body full of energy. Isn't this too powerful? Jason had an expression of disbelief on his face, feeling a little incredulous about the power of the spiritual skills brought by the 5th level spiritual ring. The injuries Jason suffered when he collapsed in the secret realm of the spirit pool were not much worse than the time when Jason was seriously injured and comatose while experimenting with fusion spiritual skills. However, Jason was also in Loken's carriage. It took him a few days to recover, but now, with this 5th level spiritual ring, spiritual skill, and life body, it only took 2 hours, which made Jason a little stunned. Such an injury, if an ordinary 5th level senior sect spiritual master were to come here, he would have to lie down for a month or 2 to recover, but it only took me 2 hours, Jason said, on his face revealing a trace of ecstasy. However, Jason also discovered that if he wanted to activate the golden beads and cyan beads, he would not only use spiritual consciousness and spiritual power, but also consume the strange black power in his body. This made Jason couldn't help but feel a trace of doubt in his heart. Absorbing the golden beads and cyan beads is all related to this black weird power, and activating them also requires the use of black weird power, but it seems to be possessed by his own blood, and the spiritual god art can also produce this black weird power. The spiritual god art, the black weird power, his own bloodline, and these 2 orbs. There is another difference between these 4. What's the connection? Jason couldn't help but be filled with doubts. But soon, unable to figure it out, he put this doubt behind his mind and looked at the faintly visible dark red blood abyss mountain in the distance. Jason, who had been suppressed in the secret realm of the spirit pool for 10 months, couldn't help shouting to the sky, "Haha, Jason, am back." The rumbling sound echoed deep in the Lingqi Mountains, full of heroic spirit. It is said that a few days later, after a team of adventurers returned to the city outside the Lingqi Mountains, they claimed that there was an extremely terrifying beast entrenched deep in the Lingqi Mountains. Spiritual beast. That day they accidentally strayed into the depths of the Lingqi Mountains, and heard the terrifying howling sound of the spiritual beast, which was frightening and extremely terrifying. Deep outside the Lingqi Mountains, Jason walked quickly in the forest with bare feet. This time, he did not go the same way as before. He knew that the news that the Lingqi secret realm appeared from the void would definitely be shocked. In the entire Chi'er province, countless powerful spiritual masters will come from all over, and the Phil family is even more likely to block the area near Blood Abyss Mountain. Jason didn't want to get into any trouble, so he chose to wear. After crossing the entire Lingqi mountain range, he then took a detour back to Tianhong City. After saying goodbye to Loken and the others, he returned to the northwest countries. Originally, he came to the Salem Empire just to find the Blood Abyss spirit who had broken through to the 5th level low-level sect spiritual master. But he didn't expect to spend nearly a year in the secret realm of the spirit pool, which made him quite speechless. In the mountain forest, Jason felt the earth with his bare feet, breathed in the primitive atmosphere of the mountain forest, and felt bursts of relaxation and joy. That is to say, you can be so leisurely in the mountains in the hinterland of the empire, such as the Lingqi Mountains. If you are in the depths of the 7 forbidden areas of the mainland, such as the Cloud Swamp and the Spirit Beast Mountains, let alone Jason, a 5th level senior sect spiritual master. Even a 9th level Holy Spirit master would not dare to walk so loosely, otherwise he might not even know how he died when the time comes. When Jason was walking continuously deep in the Lingqi Mountains, one head was 3 feet long. Meters of lightning are clinging to the tree trunk, motionless. Leopard spirit beasts should be the fastest among ground-crawling spirit beasts. In particular, the holy level spirit beast Phantom Leopard moves like a terrifying beast. A holy level spirit beast. The Lightning Leopard is a 6th level spirit beast, but as a leopard-like spirit beast, it naturally inherits the speed that leopard-like spirit beasts are best at. Its burst speed in an instant is the same as that of ordinary 7th level Emperor-level spirit beasts. It's worse, even a 7th level Imperial spiritual master could fall into its trap by accident. The Lightning Leopard exerted force on all 4 limbs. Whoosh! He jumped directly to another big tree. Leopard spiritual beasts are best at running on trees. This is also very famous. Its body is extremely light. It moved without even a trace of sound, quietly. It was as silent as a ghost. The lightning leopard had already seen humans in the distance, in the gaps between dense leaves. The lightning leopard waited quietly, waiting for the human to approach. It did not release its spiritual consciousness, nor did it use cold eyes. Watching, as the type of spiritual beast that is best at sneak attacks, the lightning leopard knows how to avoid attracting the attention of human spiritual masters. Sure enough, the human quickly approached this side. Weaker energy than myself? No danger. The 6th level spirit beast already has a vague wisdom. It can sense whether the other party is a threat to itself based on the aura emanating from the spiritual master. This is also an ability that spirit beasts are born with. As for the human being approaching from afar, Lightning Leopard felt that the other person was not too strong. Indeed, even if Jason tries his best to release his spiritual power, he is only at the 5th level of advanced level. The 6th level spirit beast has an advantage even against the 6th level spiritual master, and the lightning leopard, which is good at speed and sneak attack, dares to sneak attack even the 7th level imperial spiritual master, let alone the 5th level spiritual master. Senior Jason. Whoosh! Seeing Jason approaching, the lightning leopard suddenly kicked the trunk of the big tree, and his body suddenly turned into a golden afterimage. It was like a bolt of lightning streaking across the sky, rushing towards Jason. In an instant, the lightning leopard rushed in front of Jason. It could even feel the sound of blood flowing in the opponent's aorta. Lightning leopard, as its name suggests, the leopard attacks like lightning, elusive and leaving no one with time to react. The human being who didn't move at all suddenly pulled out the black heavy sword from his back like a bolt of lightning. Then, as if he was waving a straw, he struck lightly towards the lightning leopard. In midair, the lightning leopard grinned humanely. There was even a hint of joking that only humans could see in his eyes. At its speed and at such a distance, even a 7th level Emperor spiritual master might not be able to hit it, let alone one with such strength. There are no humans weaker than it. But at the next moment, the lightning leopard's eyes revealed a gleam of terror. It was several meters away, and at its speed, it didn't even take a tenth of a second, but it clearly saw the opponent's previous. He just drew his sword, and the next moment, the tip of the sword was in front of it. So fast. There was only one thought in the lightning leopard's mind, and he wanted to dodge in fear. Pfft! The black heavy sword was as fast as lightning, and suddenly struck the lightning leopard's body. The lightning leopard's body was dented strangely, and at the same time, the sound of broken bones was heard. Pung! The lightning leopard's body fell heavily to the ground. The lightning leopard was twitching on the ground, and blood oozed from its mouth. In less than a few seconds, the lightning leopard stopped breathing. Until it died, its cold body, his eyes were still wide open, and he didn't understand how the other party could draw his sword so fast. Jason put away the heavy sword naturally. I haven't eaten for a long time, this meat should be good. Jason said casually with a grin. Jason had been trapped in the mountainside of Blood Abyss Mountain for 10 months. Since 7 months ago, he had been using elixirs to maintain his strength and had not eaten any food at all. If you watch it with a sword master, you can clearly see that Jason, who is only a 5th level senior sect spiritual master, uses the black épée to a very skillful level. Not only does the weight of the épée not become a hindrance, but Jason does. You can use force to make it heavier and faster. What was even more terrifying was the ease with which he shot, as if the lightning leopard was a stationary target, and there was no difficulty at all in stabbing it. And when slashing, it can actually kill a 6th level spiritual beast with one sword. Although the extremely fast lightning leopard has a relatively low defense among 6th level spiritual beasts, it is really amazing to be able to kill it with one sword. In the forest, Jason skillfully grilled leopard meat. Within a moment, the aroma of barbecue wafted through the forest. If before Jason entered the secret realm of the spirit pool, he would have encountered this lightning leopard, which was as fast as an average 7th-level Imperial spiritual master. If he wanted to kill him, he would probably have some soul shock, a small element barrier, Fengyan triple wave and other spiritual skills were all released. But after 10 months of devilish training under the terrifying cyan airflow in the secret realm of the spiritual pool, Jason, who had reached the state of doing whatever he wanted and following his heart, it was not difficult to kill the sneak attack lightning concubine. After a delicious meal, Jason set off again and quickly headed towards Rainbow City. 3 days later, Rainbow City. It is now noon, and Hongqing has been extremely lively all day long. Everyone is rushing towards the competition platform in the city crazily. Today, the 2 major families in Rainbow City, the Loki family and the Mori family, will have a life-and-death showdown. Speaking of these 2 major families, it can be said that they are the 2 major enemies of Tianhong City. The 2 major families are one of the local forces in Tianhong City. They continued to develop and finally grew into the 2 major forces in the city. Just last year, the 2 families also held a family competition on the competition stage in the city. That battle was unexpected. Both families brought out their last trump cards. In the end, a young man from the Mori family actually defeated a member of the Loki family. The defeat of a 6th-level senior spiritual master allowed the Mori family to win the family competition. All the people in Rainbow City believed that the Mori family would seize the initiative in Rainbow City in the days to come, but the result was beyond everyone's expectations. In the past few months, the Mori family's properties in Rainbow City have been continuously suppressed, and their sphere of influence has been continuously weakened. As early as a year ago, the Mori family and the Loki family occupied half of Rainbow City. But now, Mori family, the family has been squeezed into a corner of the southern city by the Loki family and is struggling to make a living. Today's battle is a life and death battle between the 2 families. Everyone knows that this life and death battle is far more intense than last year's family competition. The losing party will not only lose the family property, but may even die here. Such a fierce battle naturally attracted countless people from Tianhong City to rush there. In front of the competition stage in front of the Lord's Mansion of Rainbow City. At this moment, the crowd was full of people and the atmosphere was noisy. Countless people crowded around the competition stage, densely packed and extremely hot. All members of the Mori family were sitting on the seats on the south side of the competition stage, and the Loki family sat in the seats on the north side. The scene at this moment is so similar to a year ago. However, the members of the Mori family who were still full of confidence last year now have gloomy faces and no, not the slightest hint of joy. Wow! Just then, there was a burst of noise from the crowd, and a group of people were seen walking in from outside the crowd. It was Birkby, the patriarch of the Loki family, and others. Now the Loki family is at the height of its power in Rainbow City. The members were all very proud of themselves. However, the person walking in the front at this moment was not the patriarch of the Loki family, but an old man with a ruddy complexion. The patriarch of the Loki family, Birkby, stood respectfully beside him. Extremely flattering. When the people below saw Birkby's performance, everyone was doubtful. However, the Kester patriarch of the Mori family frowned deeply. This old man was Naton. The patriarch of the family, Cornhill, is a 7th-level low-level Imperial spiritual master. Kester naturally knows that the mysterious person his family encounters every time he transports goods is sent by the Naton family, and if it were not for this Naton there is no way that the Loki family can be the opponent of his own family. Feeling the hatred in the eyes of the Kester clan leader, Cornhill turned his head and his sharp eyes fell directly on Kester. Cornhill, sir, this person is the Kester clan leader of the Mori family *, Birkby whispered from the side. Cornhill nodded, and then a cold smile appeared on his face. Jess. The boy took advantage of him and died in the secret realm of the spirit pool. I will personally torture this Mori family to the point of collapse. I want him to know the consequences of offending my Natan family. Grandpa, when the Loki family invited the Natan family to help, the Mori family couldn't resist. Can't you help them? In the area of the city lord's palace, Felt spoke anxiously to the city lord Odlin. The city lord Odlin shook his head and said seriously, Felt, don't be ridiculous. The Loki family did not violate the laws of the empire. We are not allowed to interfere at will. Do you want to think about the boy from the Mori family? Huabuzi is not here at all today. Felt gritted his teeth and looked at the Mori family's accusations, wondering what he was thinking. After the two families sat down in front of the competition stage, Lord Aldrin stood up from the main seat and announced that the life and death battle between the two families had officially begun. Haha, Chief Kester, I didn't expect you to have the courage to come here today, and to wait here obediently so early. You are so active even in seeking death, I really admire you. In the seats on the north side, Birkby and the others laughed loudly after they sat down. Birkby, stop talking nonsense. If you have any skills, just show them. Our Mori family will take over today. Kester said with a gloomy face, his expression was extremely dull. Okay. Chief Kester is really refreshing. Birkby said with a cold smile on his face, in a life and death battle, both sides will live and die according to destiny. We each send people to the stage. We can't enter the next game until life and death are determined. If one side admits defeat, it will completely withdraw from Rainbow City. I don't know who the leader of the Kester family sent first. In a life and death battle, each side sends people, one for each side, and then rotates. For example, in the first game, the Mori family sent people, and the Loki family responded, and in the next game, the Loki family will send people, and the Mori family will fight. Each person can only appear once. The family that sends people first will naturally lose to a certain extent. Grandpa, this life and death battle it's so exciting, I want to play too. On the seat of the Loki family, a young man with a sinister look and a hooked nose spoke to Cornhill. Master Urwit, this life and death battle is not fun. Let's just watch it. Okay, if the young master wants to compete, after this is over, I will arrange a few people to play with the young master. Birkby on the side said hurriedly, with a flattering look on his face. Okay, then the young man didn't like Birkby, and said disdainfully, what do you know, killing someone in front of so many people is exciting. The young man couldn't help but lick his tongue, imagining the scene where he was wise and powerful on the competition stage, killing members of the Mori family handsomely, and then being cheered by everyone in the audience. The blood in his body couldn't help but be excited. Boiling. When the young man said this, Birkby felt extremely embarrassed, but he did not dare to show any dissatisfaction on his face. This young man is the grandson of Cornhill and the first heir of the Nutton family. Birkby does not dare to offend him at all. Haha. Cornhill couldn't help laughing when he heard the young man's words, my good grandson, he really has the demeanor of your grandfather back then. Well, if there is a suitable opponent, I will definitely let you have a good time. Regarding his grandson's request, Cornhill, instead of being angry, was extremely happy. Speaking of his grandson, Cornhill was extremely satisfied that he was only 22 years old. His strength had already reached the level of a 5th-level low-level sect spiritual master. Although he could not compete with the first genius of the Phil family, he compared with Los Angeles, he can be regarded as a master among the younger generation in the entire Chi'er province. In Cornhill's opinion, young people should fight more in order to improve. In such a grand scene, killing one's opponents and receiving cheers from the people can bring great confidence to young people, allowing them to compete in the competition. The path forward for spiritual masters is smoother. Even if Urwit hadn't said anything, Cornhill would have taken the initiative to let him go on stage to compete if given the chance. At this moment, the Mori family sighed. Clan leader, let me fight in this first battle. A middle-aged man said from the seat on the south side. This is a big man with a beard and a burly build. He is a core member of the Mori family and possesses the strength of a 5th-level senior sect spiritual master. No, Patriarch, let me fight. An old man on the side also stood up and spoke. The Patriarch asked me to be the first to fight. I asked Lu to come. Everyone is rushing to speak out. Under such rules, the person who takes the lead in the first game is usually full of danger. The people sent by the other party are naturally stronger than the people sent by oneself. Everyone present knows this truth, but no one has the slightest idea. Fear. Looking at the faces around him that were scrambling for the first place with determined eyes, Kester's eyes turned red. What a lovely group of people, but today I don't know how many of the people present will be able to survive after today. Come down. There was a trace of sadness in his heart. Chief Kester, have you discussed who to send on the field? You don't even have the courage to make this decision. Chief Kester, you are too courageous. Let me see, you should just admit defeat and quit. Let's go to Rainbow City, haha. On the Loki family side, Birkby stood up and laughed with a teasing look on his face. Haha, ha ha ha. Many members of the Loki family burst out laughing, I'll do it. At this moment, a cold shout suddenly came from the crowd, and then a figure came from the side. On top of the steps, he walked steadily onto the competition stage. Hearing this voice, Kester's face suddenly turned gray, and Felt, who was sitting in the center seat, stood up suddenly and looked towards the middle of the competition platform with an excited expression. This is a young man with long brown hair, wearing a blue robe, with a plain and expressionless face. He was gentle and elegant, but his eyes were extremely cold and chilling. Loken, when they saw this young man, all the members of the Mori family were stunned, and the Kester clan leader even opened his mouth. You brat, didn't I let you leave? You Kester's face was filled with an extremely angry expression, and he roared. The roar contained a kind of heart-wrenching sorrow, and the pain of hating iron and not being able to turn into steel. He had already asked Loken to leave Rainbow City, so that even if he died, he would not have the slightest complaint in his heart. But now that he saw Loken appear on the competition stage, it was hard for him to accept. Father. On the competition stage, a smile appeared on Loken's face. You said that our Mori family has never retreated. As your son, how can I leave everyone behind and retreat alone? Let's live an ignoble life. I think if I shrink back, not only will I not forgive myself in the future, but even my master will look down on me. I, Loken, the heir of the Mori family, will live and die with the family and will never retreat. In this first battle, I, Loken, will represent the Mori family. You bastards of the Loki family, how dare you fight? At the end of the sentence, Loken almost roared, his eyes firm, looking in the direction of the Loki family without the slightest fear. He knew that he was likely to die, and he also knew that what he was doing was stupid, but he was fearless. This was his belief. Silly boy, you are so stupid, but you are worthy of being a descendant of my Mori family, Kester murmured to himself on the Mori family side, and tears couldn't help but flow down. He didn't know what kind of mood this was, sadness or joy. Grandpa, it's Loken. Falut stared blankly at Loken on the competition table, tears flashing in her eyes. Lord Odlin looked at Falut, who was standing aside, and couldn't help but sigh secretly in his heart. Ha, isn't this the sick boy of the Mori family? Why isn't he dead yet? Loken, it is said that this kid is really weak, right? Is it possible that he knows he won't live long and wants to come here to seek death? Seeing Luokuin walking onto the test platform, everyone on the Loki family laughed. Speaking of Loken, almost everyone in Rainbow City knows about it. Whether it is the identity of the heir to the Mori family or the fact that he is seriously ill, and many elixir masters have asserted that he will never live past 30, almost everyone in Rainbow City everyone knows. What makes him even more well-known to everyone is that he is simple and kind-hearted. He will take the initiative to help others when they encounter difficulties, and he is extremely friendly towards civilians. But what everyone in the Loki family laughed at was that Loken, who was extremely weak and had never practiced much at all. His strength was said to be extremely poor, but he dared to step on the stage to challenge, which made them laugh out loud. Loken's strength has never been exposed in front of anyone, and his physique makes it impossible for everyone to perceive his specific level. However, in the hearts of everyone in Hong City today, Loken's strength is definitely extremely high. Weak. Is this the heir to the Mori family? Grandpa, let me come on stage. From the Rocky family side, Urwit's eyes shone and he spoke excitedly. The pleasure in killing an ordinary member of a family is completely different from that of killing an heir. That is equivalent to destroying the hope of a family. When he thinks of this, Urwit feels excited. Incessantly. Birkby, how strong is this kid? On the competition stage, Cornhill carefully felt Loken's strength on the stage, and then asked Birkby on the side. With his strength as a 7th-level low-level Imperial Spiritual Master, he just felt that the opponent's strength was not strong, but the specific level was actually impossible to sense. This surprised Cornhill. Sir Cornhill, the boy on the stage is Loken, the son of the Kester patriarch of the Mori family. He has suffered from an extremely serious disease since he was a child. He seems to be unable to cultivate spiritual power. I have been in Tianhong City for decades. I have never heard of this kid taking action, Birkby explained on the side. Cornhill put aside the doubts in his heart. As the enemy of the Mori family, the Loki family will naturally study every member of the other party. It is extremely thorough, and a family heir like Loken will not miss it. Since Birkby has said so, the boy on the stage should not be very strong. Well, Urwit, you go up. This battle is up to you. Be careful when you are on stage and decide it quickly. Cornhill said. Haha, don't worry, Grandpa, I will greet that boy well. Urwit showed a hint of cruelty in his eyes, and then stepped onto the competition stage in full view of everyone. On the competition stage, Loken and Urwit were facing each other. What's going on? This Loki family actually let a young man go up? Everyone in the audience had a trace of doubt in their hearts, even Kester and the others were a little confused. Feeling the gazes of countless people around him, Urwit said excitedly to Loken, haha, that kid in front of you, remember, standing in front of you, the one who is about to kill you is me, Urwit, nah. Heir to the Dunn family, I will let you know what it means to be in pain. Urwit said, pulling out the long sword from his waist, and a powerful force suddenly rose from his body. As a 5-year-old, a low-level sect spiritual master, Urwit is not very old, but he is enough to be considered a master. A flash of light suddenly burst out in Luo Kuan's eyes. His eyes were extremely cold. He naturally knew that his family has become like this. Although on the surface it is the suppression of the Loki family, in fact, everything is because of this, nah. The Dayton family. Tisk. The long sword on Luo Kuan's waist suddenly popped out, and a shocking blue light suddenly lit up on the competition platform, and then it stabbed towards Urwit on the opposite side like lightning. The dazzling cyan light was like a meteor falling from the sky, and it arrived in front of Urwit like lightning. Feeling the opponent's powerful attack, Urwit was shocked in his heart. The spiritual power in his body was working hard, and the golden light suddenly lit up. He often caused trouble and bullied others, and he was considered to be experienced. Finally, he was in the hands of Loken. The moment the sword struck him, he blocked it. Boom! Powerful spiritual power fluctuation spread out on the competition stage, and 2 rays of light, one green and one gold, intertwined with each other. Both of them took 2 steps back, but Loken was calm and composed, while Urwit's face was pale, panting. Luo Kuan didn't give his opponent the slightest chance to breathe. As he swung his long sword, the air trembled, and streaks of green sword light pierced the sky like flying arrows, causing a dull whimpering sound, which was breathtaking. Urwit's face turned pale, and his body kept retreating. The 5th-level low-level spiritual power in his body spat out desperately. As the golden light circulated, he finally intercepted all the green sword light released by Loken. However, in terms of combat control, has completely fallen behind. Wow! Seeing such a brave Lokuan, the people below let out an uproar. In Rainbow City, if you want to ask who has the best reputation, then 80% of the people will say it is Lokuan. Master N, it's just Luoquan's frail body and terminal illness that makes all the people feel sad. However, the powerful combat power displayed by Loken at this moment shocked them. They never imagined that young Master Loken, who had always been frail in their hearts, could be so strong. On the Loki family's side, Cornhill stood up abruptly, his eyes flashing with suppressed anger. This kid is actually a 5th-level low-level sect spirit master. Is this the guy you said is unable to cultivate spiritual power and has very poor strength? Cornhill's cold eyes fell on Birkby beside him, and everyone could feel it. See the raging anger in Cornhill's heart at this moment. Birkby was also completely dumbfounded. He could not understand why Loken, who had always been weak in the Mori family, showed such strong combat power at this moment. Under Cornhill's anger, Birkby felt extremely uneasy and at a loss. If anything happens to Urwit, your Loki family will bury him with him. Cornhill snorted coldly, with a cold look on his face. For Cornhill, among all the people present, the one he cared about most was his grandson. Even the entire Loki family combined could not be more important to him than Urwit. There was no room for Urwit to make any mistakes. Not only Cornhill and the others, but also the Lord of Aldrin City in the middle of the seat had a look of surprise on his face. A 19-year-old 5th-level low-level sect spiritual master. I didn't expect that Loken would have such strength. Aldrin glanced at Falut, who was looking at Loken in the center of the competition platform with great concern, and murmured in his heart. Said, such a talent, even compared to Falut, is about the same. But unfortunately, no matter how talented Loken is, it is impossible for Argura's family to let Falut be with him. Just when Loken and Urwit were fighting fiercely on the competition stage. Outside the gate of the Mori family's mansion, a young man with black hair appeared in front of the gate. This young man was Jason, who came back from the Lingqi Mountains. Spiritual consciousness passed through the entire mansion slightly, and Jason couldn't help but show a trace of doubt on his face. Hey, what's going on? Why is there no one in the entire Tianhong city? Even the Mori family's mansion is quiet? As Jason knocked on the door of the mansion slowly opened, and the man who opened the door slowly opened the door. When the steward saw Jason, he was stunned. You are Master Jace, you still alive? The guard suddenly showed an extremely excited expression on his face, and then he knelt down in front of Jason with a bang. Lord Jace, please save our Mori family. The guard cried bitterly. What's going on? Jason couldn't help but be stunned, and then said in a low voice. What the other party said made him feel a little bad. Master Jace, you don't know that since the news of your death in the secret realm of the spirit pool came, our Mori family, the guard immediately told Jason the whole story. Right now, Chief Kester and the others are having a life-or-death battle with the Loki family on the competition stage in the city. The Loki family has the help of the Natan family, and the Patriarch and the others are basically dead. The Natan family, it's the Natan family again. Jason's eyes were as sharp as a knife, and he gritted his teeth. He would never forget what Cornhill did to him in the secret realm of the spiritual pool. A competition stage in the city? Jason murmured. Whoosh, the guard wanted to say something else, but before he could react, Jason's figure had disappeared from the door of the mansion. The guard stared blankly at the empty door of the mansion, his mouth wide open and speechless. With his strength as a 3rd-level senior spiritual master, he did not discover how Jason left. On the competition stage in the city, Loken and Urwit were completely locked in a fight. Powerful spiritual energy splashed everywhere on the competition stage, and subtle explosions could be heard. In terms of attributes, under normal circumstances, Urwit, as a metal spiritual master, must definitely restrain the wood spiritual master, but the wood spirit body possessed by Loken is the strongest among the wood spiritual masters. And his wood attribute is also the purest wood spiritual power, which cannot be suppressed by Urwit's ordinary metal spiritual power. In terms of combat experience, Urwit has more experience than Loken, who has almost never fought. However, Loken practices the low-grade moon-level skills given to him by Jason better than Urwit. Moreover, as a wood spirit, Loken can definitely defeat all masters at the same level. With so many advantages, on the competition stage, even though Loken and Urwit were both low-level 5th-level sect spiritual masters, they always dominated each other in the fight. Go away. On the competition stage, Urwit, who originally came up to kill Loken in a majestic manner, was constantly at a disadvantage. He was retreating steadily. He already had 2 scars on his body. Blood was gurgling out, and his mouth was full of pain. He kept shouting loudly. The 5th-level low-level spiritual power spat out from Urwit's body desperately, and the extremely sharp golden spiritual power overflowed, finally forcing Loken away briefly. Boy, I admit that your strength is pretty good, but I don't want to play with you anymore. The victory in this battle will eventually belong to me, Urwit. Urwit said breathlessly, and then in the audience under the gaze of everyone present, he took out a bottle of golden elixir from his body. The golden elixir refracted a dazzling halo under the sunlight, emitting strong fluctuations of spiritual power. Haha, wait until you die, kid. A wild laugh appeared on Urwit's face, and he drank the golden elixir in one gulp. Powerful energy fluctuations were immediately transmitted from Urwit's body. Urwit's aura continued to rise, reaching the peak level in an instant. At the same time, the low-level spiritual power fluctuations that were originally the 5th level also suddenly broke through to the 5th level. Intermediate. This is the gold-rich potion. Sensing the changes in Urwit, the knowledgeable people in the crowd below exclaimed. The gold potion is a 5th-level high-grade spiritual potion that can allow a 5th-level sect spiritual master to advance 1 level in a short time and restore the spiritual power in the body to full value. It is an extremely powerful spiritual potion. At the Mori family seat, the expressions of Kester and others changed. Ha ha, Urwit laughed wildly. Boy, let's see if you are still rampant, you can die. Urwit's momentum continued to rise, and spiritual power spread out from his body. In terms of level, he has completely suppressed Loken on the opposite side. Oh, really? Luoquan's face was extremely calm, and then he slowly took out a bottle of light green elixir from his body, and then uncorked the bottle of elixir. A strong and intoxicating wood spiritual power floated out from the potion bottle. After all the wood spiritual masters present felt this wood spiritual power, they couldn't help but feel ecstasy, and all the energy in their bodies, the pores seemed to open in an instant, and the spiritual power in the body was running energetically. This as everyone in the audience widened their eyes. The smell alone could cause such changes to all the wood spiritual masters around. No one present had ever heard of such a powerful elixir. In Urwit's stunned expression, Loken sneered and drank the bottle of light green elixir. This bottle of spiritual potion was one of the 5 bottles of 6th grade high-quality wood vitality potion that Jason gave him. The 6th order high-quality wood vitality potion is a spiritual potion prepared by Jason to treat Loken's weakness in his wood spirit body. But in fact, in addition to being able to heal wood spirits, the wood vitality potion is also an extremely powerful spiritual potion. It can instantly increase the vitality of the wood spiritual master, and at the same time, it can promote the wood spiritual master to the top of the level in a short time, and have almost endless wood spiritual power in the body in a short time. Of course, this endless is just a relative term. After all, no matter how hard a 5th-level sect spiritual master attacks, the spiritual power consumed may not be as strong as a random attack by a 7th-level imperial spiritual master. However, this is enough to illustrate the power of the wood-type vitality potion. At the same time, it is also the reason why the wood-type life vitality potion is rated as high level 6, and is at the same level as the heaven-defying potions such as the Spirit Master potion. In the perception of everyone around the competition stage, after Loken took the bottle of light green elixir, an unparalleled wave of spiritual power suddenly erupted from his body. This fluctuation of spiritual power was so huge that everyone present looked shocked. What? This kid was promoted to the 5th level of senior sect spiritual master. How is this possible? What kind of spiritual elixir was the bottle of light green elixir he took earlier? For a 5th level low-level sect spiritual master to be promoted to the level in an instant 5th level senior sect spiritual master, my God, these spiritual potions are too terrifying, aren't they? Such a powerful fluctuation in spiritual power is incredible. There were bursts of discussion in the entire square. Everyone's eyes widened with disbelief in their eyes. Based on their knowledge, they could not imagine that Loken had taken it before. What kind of elixir is it? And Ervit, who had been proud in front of Loken because he had taken the gold-rich potion, now had an expression of extreme horror on his face under the pressure of Loken's powerful spiritual power. He couldn't believe that the other party would have a spiritual potion that was more powerful than a 5th level high-grade spiritual potion like the heavy gold potion. Die. On the competition stage, a green light suddenly burst out from Loken's whole body. He roared angrily, and the green light flowed on the long sword in his hand, forming a huge spiritual storm. He aimed at the Erwit in front of him and swept away. No, Erwit let out a frightened scream, his body flashed with golden light, and he rushed forward with all his strength. Boom! A huge explosion sounded throughout the competition stage. Erwit was thrown heavily, blood spurted from his mouth, and the long sword in his hand fell to the side. Ahem! He coughed out streams of blood, then crawled back on his hands and feet with a look of horror on his face. No, don't kill me. In the final analysis, although Erwit was a genius, under the doting of Cornhill, he was just a playboy. At this moment, his mind was already confused. Go to hell. A cold smile appeared on Loken's lips, with hatred in his eyes, and he slashed down with the sword in his hand. The reason why my family is in this situation now is precisely because of the Natan family. How can I spare the other party? The powerful with spiritual power suddenly surged down towards Erwit like a shocking wave. No, Grandpa, help me. Erwit's face turned pale with fear and he spoke in despair. At this moment, bang, a golden stream of light suddenly appeared on the competition stage. Loken, who was so brave before, suddenly fell like a ragbag and flew out heavily, with blood in his mouth like a fountain. It splashed out, and the long sword in his hand shattered inch by inch, turning into debris all over the ground. A figure appeared on the competition stage and stood in front of Erwit. It was the head of the Cornhill clan of the Natan family. In the previous critical moment, Cornhill finally couldn't help but take action and rescued Erwit from Loken. Wow! All the people below let out an uproar, and on the seats on the competition stage, Kester and others also stood up suddenly. Cornhill, what are you doing? Don't you know the rules of a life-and-death battle? Kester and others flew down and came to the competition stage, shouting angrily. The people below were also talking one after another, and the entire square suddenly became noisy. In a life-and-death battle between two families, there is no room for others to interfere at will between the contestants. Cornhill's actions have completely violated the rules of the battle. Such behavior will be punished no matter where it is in Stern Continent. Everyone's contempt. Lord City Lord, this member of the Loki family is flouting the rules of the decisive battle. I don't know how Lord City Lord will judge. Kester shouted loudly on the competition stage. Grandpa. Philid also said excitedly. On the city chairman's chair, Odlin stood up, his face extremely serious. The Loki family violated the rules of the decisive battle, so in this decisive battle between the Loki family and the Mori family, the Loki family was disqualified. Deal with it. This at the seats on the Loki family side, Birkby and others were dumbfounded. The losing side had to leave Rainbow City. Ha ha, ha ha ha. On the competition stage, Cornhill suddenly laughed out loud, his face was extremely gloomy, and then he walked towards Loken, who fell not far away and was seriously injured. If you dare to kill my grandson, you will die today. Cornhill said coldly, with murderous intent everywhere. Grandpa, kill that kid. Urwit, who had just come back from the brink of death, was still in shock and roared, with a ferocious look on his face. Cohen Hill, what do you want to do? Kester and the others had angry expressions on their faces and stood in front of Loken. What are you doing? Kester's tone showed a trace of ridicule, and then he suddenly took action. Powerful golden spiritual power splashed across the competition platform, and several groans of pain were heard. Kester and others who had previously stopped in front of Cornhill were all talking about blood madness. Squirt, and then fell heavily and flew out. On their chests, there were deep scars, which were deep enough to see the bones, and blood was pouring out. Don't worry, you guys won't die yet. I'm going to kill this kid in front of you first, and then I'll kill you all one by one, haha, Cornhill said with a wild smile on his face. Cohen Hill, you dare to flout the laws of the Empire, stop it now. On the city chairman's behalf, Odlin shouted angrily, with an angry expression on his face. Odlin, you are an Imperial Viscount, please stay aside obediently, otherwise, I will be angry, and I will deal with you too. Cornhill is not afraid of Odlin at all, even though he is from Rainbow City. City Lord, but he is only a 6th-level low-level spiritual master. Originally, Cohen Hill planned to use the Loki family to kill the Mori family members one by one, then drive the entire Mori family out of Rainbow City, and finally destroy them all. However, an unexpected incident caused Cohen to Hill took action directly. You brat, I have to admit that you are a genius, but it's a pity that you are going to die now. The golden light in Cornhill's right hand flashed, and he sneered at Loken, who was lying there with serious injuries, and then his palm fell down. And down. Loken looked at Cornhill with a calm expression. He didn't have the slightest fear between life and death. No, not far away, Kester and the others roared in despair, but they were injured and unable to do anything. On the city chair, Philip wanted to rush down desperately, but was firmly held by Odlin, unable to move at all. Tears flowed freely from her eyes. Below, the rioting people also fell silent, and many people closed their eyes, afraid to look at this scene. At the moment when Cornhill's palm was less than 1 meter away from Loken's head and was about to shoot Loken, who dares to touch my disciple? A shocking roar suddenly sounded over the entire square, and then, whoosh, a sharp sound of breaking through the air suddenly came from a distance, and then a spiritual light wrapped with powerful spiritual power, like a long wind breaking through the waves, aimed at Cornhill and fiercely swept towards it. This spiritual light was so powerful that wherever it went, the air shattered layer by layer like solidified glass, and a sharp whistling sound resounded throughout the square. Cornhill's expression couldn't help but change, and he aimed at Loken's right palm and turned it violently, facing the lightning-like spiritual light. Boom, the soles of his feet were inserted into the ground, and the huge strength made Cornhill quickly take a few steps back. He looked gloomily in the direction where the spiritual light was flying, and shouted coldly, "Who?" And everyone around him said, all looked at this sudden scene in astonishment, and looked up in the direction where Cohen Hill was looking. As for Loken, Kester and others, the moment they heard each other's voice, they all looked over excitedly. In everyone's sight, a figure descended from the sky, with lightning flashing behind it, forming a splendid set of wings, like a god descending to earth, powerful and tall. The long black hair was flying in the wind, like a dancing elf. The black-haired figure raised his head, revealing a delicate face, and appeared in front of everyone. "It's you." Cornhill was stunned when he saw Jason across from him. "Master, I knew you would be fine." Luoquan was so excited that his whole body trembled. He could no longer hold back his excitement, and tears burst into his eyes. Master Jace, you." The faces of Kester and others also showed incredible excitement. Putting the black épée in his hand on his shoulder, Jason raised his head slightly and looked indifferently at Cornhill opposite. The black épée in his hand suddenly pointed at him, and a bone-chilling voice resounded in the square. "No rest. Cornhill, I said I will kill you, your life, I will take it today on the competition stage." Jason stood proudly like a god of war, his whole body exuding an edge that was hard to look at, soaring straight into the sky. In the spacious venue, Jason's cold and plain voice echoed slowly, making countless people look at him. "This is the boy who participated in the battle for the Mori family last year. He was the one who killed the 6th-level senior spiritual master of the Loki family in last year's family competition. There is him here. The Mori family is just fine. I heard that this young man is still the master of Master Loken. I'm afraid it's difficult. Lord Cornhill is the patriarch of the Naton family and a 7th-level low-level imperial spiritual master. Strong, it is impossible for him to be the opponent of Lord Cornhill." "That's not necessarily true. Didn't you see that the boy's blow earlier forced Cornhill away?" Seeing Jason after that, bursts of discussion suddenly came from the crowd. Last year, Jason participated in the family competition for the Mori family and killed the Loki family's 6th-level senior spiritual master raised. Most of the people in Rainbow City were deeply impressed by him. "Master, you are finally back." Luoquind choked out during the competition, like a wronged child seeing his parents. Looking behind him at Loken, who had blood at the corners of his mouth, tears at the corners of his eyes, and an excited expression, Jason's eyes were sharp, and an unknown fire was burning in his heart. "Don't worry, as Master is here, no one can touch you today," Jason said indifferently, and then put his right hand directly on Luo Kuan's shoulder, slightly urging the wooden ball in his mind. Buzz. The green orb was spinning rapidly, and powerful wood-type vitality surged out of Jason's right hand like a flood that burst a dam, and directly entered Loken's body. This is feeling the inexplicable power entering his body. Luo Kuan couldn't help but widen his eyes with surprise on his face. In his perception, the serious injuries his body had suffered due to Cornhill's attack suddenly began to heal under the vitality of life. In a moment, the wounds that were extremely serious and painful before were actually healed at this moment. It's 77 or 88. Such a powerful healing ability made Loken dumbfounded. This kind of wood-life vitality is even more powerful than Jason in terms of healing ability for Loken, a spiritual master with a wood spirit body. "Go aside." Jason withdrew his right hand, asked Loken to step away, and then focused his gaze on the face of Cornhill in front of him. His expression was extremely dull, his long black hair was flying in the air, and he showed no emotion at all, but his eyes were sharp and terrifying. "I didn't expect it to be you, haha. God has been so kind to me." Looking at Jason, Cornhill showed a cold smile on his face and then laughed, his expression full of excitement. I know how you managed to escape my prying eyes when you first came out of the secret realm of the spiritual pond. But there is a way to heaven, but you can't take it, and there is no door to hell, so you have to break in. Since you want to die, I will make it happen today. Today, I will definitely take your life. As a dead person, you talk too much nonsense," Jason said indifferently. "Rampant," Cornhill said coldly, and in the midst of Xiaolong's roar, the long sword at his waist suddenly thrust out, and a golden brilliance appeared in front of Jason instantly like a bolt of lightning. The 7th-level Emperor's spiritual power communicates with the spiritual power of heaven and earth. When he strikes, there is no trace left like an antelope hanging its horns. The speed is so fast that it is unimaginable. As a gold spiritual master, Cornhill was the strongest among the 5 elements in terms of speed. Even a 6th-level senior spiritual master had no time to resist such a sudden attack. Kester and the others who had previously blocked him were instantly injured by his blow and had no time to resist at all. Facing the sudden golden sword light, Jason's face did not move at all. The black épée in his hand suddenly jumped up, like a python coming out of its hole, and was instantly blocked in front of the golden sword light. Boom! Amidst the loud explosion, Jason suddenly took a few steps back, leaving several clear footprints on the ground. Huh! There was a trace of surprise in Cornhill's mouth, and he was obviously a little surprised that Jason could block his attack. The speed is pretty good, but that's it. This time, it depends on how you block it. A fierce light flashed in Cornhill's eyes. The entire competition stage was filled with gold spiritual elements that were condensing, and the gold spiritual power was rising. In an instant, dozens of golden sword lights quickly condensed in front of him, and then flew towards Jason like lightning. Boom! 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 The powerful golden sword light was like a sky full of golden swordfish, carrying huge fluctuations of spiritual power. Wherever it went, the air trembled. The surrounding spiritual elements became violent in an instant, and bursts of harsh whining sounds suddenly appeared in the air. Dozens of sword lights were overwhelming, surrounding Jason. Each one contained fierce murderous intent and was bound to kill Jason in a small world. Looking at Jason, who was surrounded by golden sword light, a cold smile appeared on the corner of Cornhill's mouth. When the people below saw such a dazzling attack and felt the powerful spiritual power emanating from the competition stage, they were all stunned on the spot. Just the fluctuations of spiritual power emitted by the sword light made them feel suffocated. They could not imagine how much pressure Jason, who was at the center of the sword light attack, was facing at this moment. Looking at the golden sword light that was all over the sky, Jason's eyes suddenly flashed with light. Buzz! A pale golden transparent ripple suddenly radiated from Jason's body, covering a distance of 50 meters with him as the center of the sphere. Metal elemental barrier. Since Jason advanced to the 5th level of Senior Sect Spirit Master, the range of the elemental barrier attached to his golden ball has also increased from 10 meters to 50 meters. The golden sword light, which was originally full of spiritual power and filled with murderous intent, became a bit dim under the pressure of the golden elemental barrier, but its speed did not weaken at all. The black heavy sword in Jason's hand instantly danced into a black ball, and dozens of swords were quickly drawn out in an instant. Boom, 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 boom. A series of huge explosions sounded simultaneously on the competition stage, and a powerful storm of spiritual power swept out instantly. Ripples of energy continued to spread to the surroundings, and smoke and dust rose. Jason's figure was completely wrapped in it. Master! Lord Jace! Under such huge fluctuations in spiritual power, Loken, Kester, and others all withdrew from the competition stage, exclaiming with worries on their faces. Now their hopes are placed on Jason, naturally anxious in his heart. As a 7th level low-level Imperial Spiritual Master, Cornhill is too powerful. In their hearts, although Jason is strong, he is only around the peak of 6th level. They want to step forward to help, but with such strength, just the aftermath of the battle between Jason and Cornhill was enough to seriously injure them, making it impossible to intervene. Not only Kester and others, but all the people below also held their breath at this moment and looked at the center of the competition platform for a moment. On the competition stage, the smoke and dust gradually dispersed, and a huge pit about 5 meters in diameter and 2 meters deep appeared in front of everyone, causing everyone to take a breath of air. The competition platform was made of special rocks and had gone through countless years of ups and downs. Although it was damaged due to the battles between the major families, it was the first time it had been damaged like this. However, everyone's eyes did not pay attention to the deep pit for long, but looked for Jason's figure. Hey, what about the young man? He was blown to pieces, right? Next to the pit, countless rubbles rolled down, making it look like a mess. However, the entire competition stage was empty, without a trace of anyone. Not far away, Cornhill frowned, and then suddenly raised his head thoughtfully. In the sky, a blue-purple lightning flashed, and immediately, a figure swooped down from the sky like a falcon, aiming at Cornhill and attacking fiercely. I didn't expect that you could escape my attack before. If you ran away directly, I might not be able to catch up with you. I didn't expect that you would come here to seek death. Looking at Jason falling from the sky, Cornhill's mouth showed a trace of cruelty. With a smile on his face, the spiritual power in his body spurted out crazily, and the long sword in his hand suddenly glowed with golden light. The next moment, a golden ripple quickly enveloped it. Is this a metal element barrier? Cornhill's originally disdainful face suddenly showed an expression of extreme shock, and his eyes instantly widened. Under the shroud of the golden ripples, Cornhill suddenly felt that he had lost touch with the golden spiritual power in the air, and could no longer absorb any golden spiritual element. Different from the ignorance of Kester, Raised, and others, Cornhill, as a 7th-level low-level Imperial spiritual master, clearly understood that what happened to him could only be released by an 8th-level gold-type Imperial spiritual master. Only the elemental enchantment can have such an effect. What's going on with this Jace? He can actually release spiritual skills similar to the metal element barrier. Isn't this too scary? Cornhill couldn't help but feel a storm in his heart. Fengyan, triple wave. When Cornhill was extremely horrified, a deep voice suddenly sounded in the sky. Jason's whole body instantly turned into a burning flame, and Cornhill underneath him was heavily involved. The impact hit a pill, boom. A shocking roar resounded between heaven and earth. Indescribably powerful spiritual power erupted instantly like a volcanic eruption, and then swept away like ripples. Many people who were close to the competition platform involuntarily retreated backwards. In front of this powerful spiritual power, they were like small boats in the wind and waves of the sea. If they were not careful, they would be instantly hit by the huge waves. Submerged. Haha, brat, although your elemental barrier-like spiritual skills are good, they are too weak. Do you want to kill me with this attack? It's just a fool's errand. While everyone was staring at the competition stage, Cornhill's arrogant voice rumbled in the smoke and dust, and then 2 figures, one golden and one blue, rose into the sky and floated above everyone's eyes. Above. Cornhill's body was shining with golden light, like a golden god of war, looking down at the world. However, the people below who had participated in the family competition a year ago were looking straight at Cornhill. They all knew that the Fengyan triple wave used by this young man is definitely not as simple as a normal attack. Last year, Elder Nihilist died under this move. Boom. Sure enough, as everyone expected, before Cornhill could act arrogantly, a dull sound of explosion suddenly came out from Cornhill's body. This as Cornhill had a look of astonishment on his face, and before he could after regaining consciousness, another explosion sounded. A huge shock wave that was difficult to withstand emitted from his body. This time, Cornhill's whole body trembled involuntarily in the air. It was originally flowing out of him. The golden spiritual power was like a reed in the wind, constantly swaying. In full view of everyone, a trace of blood slipped quietly from Cornhill's mouth and dripped down. Wow. Seeing this situation, the people below couldn't help but make a lot of noise, and Kester and others couldn't help showing a hint of joy on their faces. Injured, Cornhill and others were actually injured. That boy, could it be that he is also a 7th-level Imperial spiritual master? Isn't it possible, such a young 7th-level Imperial spiritual master? That boy relies on flying skills to fly. If he can injure Lord Cornhill, who is a low-level 7th-level Imperial spiritual master, then even if that boy is not a 7th-level Imperial spiritual master, the Imperial Spirit Master is definitely not simple. There were constant discussions among the crowd below. There is a huge gap between the 6th-level spiritual master and the 7th-level Imperial spiritual master. The two are not on the same level and cannot be compared at all. Just like when Jason's father Reno killed Bastard and Robinho, the patriarchs of the Radigan family, in the Kingdom of Orlando, Reno at that time had just been promoted to the 7th level of low-level Imperial Spiritual Master, and Bastade and Robinho, one was a 6th level senior spiritual master and the other was a 6th level intermediate spiritual master, but Renault had no effort at all when killing them both. The 7th level imperial spiritual master is a high-level professional in Stern Continent. It can be said that as long as a 7th level imperial spiritual master reaches it, he can be considered a strong person no matter where he is on the continent. Although there is only one level difference between the 7th level and the 6th level, the difference is beyond reason. In the past, no matter how fierce and spectacular the fight between Jason and Cornhill was, everyone was not optimistic about Jason, but now, Jason actually injured Cornhill, so no matter whether Jason was Cornhill in the end opponent, in everyone's mind, the two of them are on the same level. While the people below were marveling in great amazement, Jason in the sky couldn't help but feel that the 7th level Kuwu Emperor Spirit Master was too powerful, even though he had absorbed the 3rd level of Phoenix Flame from the spiritual heart of the Holy Beast Immortal Fire Phoenix. It was extremely powerful, but even its 3rd attack was only as powerful as that of a 7th level low-level Imperial Spiritual Master. At most, it could only injure Cornhill, but not kill him. In the sky, Cornhill stood there in astonishment, wiping the corner of his mouth with his hand, looking at the dazzling blood-red color in his palm. His expression couldn't help but twist. I'm hurt, brat, how dare you hurt me?" In the sky, Cornhill's eyes showed disbelief on his face, but they gradually turned red. With his strength, he can naturally feel that although Jason in front of him has released various powerful spiritual skills, his true strength is only that of a 5th level senior sect spiritual master. And he, a low-level Emperor spiritual master, is actually in such a the 5th level senior sect spirit master was injured on his hand, which made him, who had always prided himself on being arrogant, find it difficult to accept. His pupils instantly turned golden. Countless golden streams of light continued to condense in front of him, and then continued to swim, finally forming a golden sword rainbow with a faint red glow. Die! A deep roar came from his mouth, and with a wave of his right hand, the dark red golden sword rainbow aimed at Jason like lightning. Ong! The golden sword rainbow, rotating at high speed, pierced the void, and the air was distorted. It came to Jason in an instant. Although the sword rainbow had been weakened a lot after entering the elemental barrier, it radiated out the terrifying aura still made Jason's heart throb. Boom! A huge explosion sounded, and an indescribable force came from the black épée in his hand, and Jason was thrown heavily. Pfft! A mouthful of blood spurted out from his mouth, turning into a cloud of blood mist in the air. The wings of lightning flashed with thunder, and the cyan ball in Jason's mind continued to release the vitality of the wood system, healing the microscopic pain on the body. In the sky, two sharp eyes like knives, like needle-pointed square rays, usually bumped together. Die! Cornhill rushed into Jason's elemental barrier like lightning, with a ferocious look on his face. He ignored the oppression of the elemental barrier on him and continued to rely on the spiritual power in his body to release sword rays. Although Jason's attack speed could not keep up with Cornhill, who was a 7th level low-level Imperial spiritual master, he relied on Soul Shock to continuously launch attacks on Cornhill. For a time, powerful spiritual energy fluctuations continued to pass down from the sky, and the spiritual elements above the entire square instantly rioted. Boom, 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 boom. Two figures, one golden and one blue, kept crossing each other in the sky, and the sound of huge explosions sounded one after another, endlessly, forming huge spiritual storms in the sky, constantly spread out. Looking at the fierce and terrifying battle in the sky, everyone below looked dull, with their mouths wide open, unable to speak. The people from the Mori family and the Loki family looked at the sky for a moment. For ordinary people, this was just a wonderful battle, but for them, it was a failure. The party faces not only failure, but perhaps death. Compared with the simple nervousness of the Loki family, the Mori family, Kester and others were nervous and worried about Jason, but also more excited. Although they had already fully estimated Jason's power, after seeing the battle between Jason and Cornhill, they all understood that they had underestimated this powerful young man. Being able to have a passionate battle with Cornhill, who is a 7th-level Imperial Spiritual Master, is enough to show that Jason already has the combat power of a 7th-level low-level Imperial Spiritual Master, but Jason now looks about 20 years old. A 7th-level Imperial Spiritual Master who is around 20 years old, what is this concept? Even the first genius of Chi'er province, Kiros, is far inferior. I'm afraid it can only be compared to the top geniuses of the terrifying families in the Empire, right? Such fighting power, this boy is not simple. From the city chairman's seat, Lord Odlin looked at Jason, who was fighting with Cornhill in the sky, his eyes couldn't help but twinkling. On the side, Felucci said excitedly, "Grandpa, do you think Jace can defeat Cornhill?" "Beat?" Aldrin smiled, hard, "Unlikely. At most it will be a draw." "Well, although that boy is strong, he only relies on his spiritual skills to hold on, and that Cornhill is a veritable 7th-level low-level Imperial Spiritual Master, and his real strength is much stronger than that boy." Felucci shook his head. He shook his head, looked at Jason the sky, clasped his hands together, and murmured in his heart, "Loken's master, I beg you, you must win, so that Loken can be fine." In the sky, Jason and Cornhill, who were constantly attacking each other, were in extremely embarrassed condition. There were many wounds on their bodies, and blood was flowing freely. This brat is an invincible King Kong. How come he has become so powerful after not seeing each other for a year? If we don't kill him today, I'm afraid there will be endless troubles with his potential. Cornhill gritted his teeth and said to Jason's strength felt a little frightening, and at the same time, he was also horrified by the strength of Jason's body. In fact, even though Jason has a metal element barrier that can restrain metal spiritual masters, as well as powerful spiritual skills such as Soul Shock, Fatal Strike, and Phoenix Flame Triple Wave, when fighting against Cornhill, Jason's still at a disadvantage. "No, we can't go on like this." On the side, Jason's eyes were sharp and he secretly said in his heart. After all, in terms of strength, he is a 5th-level high-level spiritual master, while Cornhill is a real 7th-level low-level Imperial Spiritual Master. It's just that Jason relied on his powerful body and the powerful recovery ability brought by the Cyan Beads to fight to a tie with Cornhill. However, if he continues to fight like this, Jason's spiritual power will only be consumed more and more. The more there are, and as a 7th-level low-level Imperial Spiritual Master, Cornhill is able to communicate the spiritual power between heaven and earth, Jason will definitely be in an extremely disadvantageous position. Whoosh! Thinking of this, Jason jerked away to the side. "What? You brat, you can't beat me and you want to run away?" Cornhill said coldly, but his spiritual consciousness locked on Jason, and the spiritual power in his body continued to surge out. He understood Jason's threat to him. Jason will never be allowed to escape from his hands today. Escape? Jason sneered, and then took out several bottles of spiritual potions of different colors from his body. As soon as these bottles of spiritual potions appeared, powerful spiritual power fluctuations were revealed in the air. Various elixirs reflect the dying light under the sunlight. Different elixirs form different scenery, overlapping each other, forming a dying glow above everyone's heads. This everyone below was stunned. Various elixirs can generally reveal different lights under the sunlight, but the elixirs that can reveal this kind of appearance must be at least level 6 or above. These bottles of elixirs can be seen at a glance. That extremely powerful elixir. In the past, it was extremely rare to see a bottle of 6th-level elixir, but so many bottles appeared on this young man's body at once, which made everyone below feel unbelievable. Could it be that this young man just robbed an elixir exhibition? Many people couldn't help but secretly speculate. Under everyone's shocked gazes, Jason opened all these potion bottles, and then quickly drank them down one bottle at a time. Because the potion bottle was opened, the rich smell of the spiritual potion suddenly spread from the sky. All the spiritual masters who smelled this smell felt refreshed, and the spiritual power in their bodies could not help but accelerate. The medicinal fragrance alone was able to have such an effect, which immediately shocked all the people below. And as bottles of spiritual potions were poured down, the spiritual power fluctuations in Jason's body became more and more powerful. The 6th grade high-grade Violent Emperor potion, the 6th grade top-grade Peak potion, the 6th grade low-grade Valor potion bottles of powerful elixirs were poured into Jason's mouth without any hesitation. If these elixirs were put into one at the kingdom's large-scale auction, every bottle can be regarded as the final item. Potions such as the Violent King potion, the Peak potion, and the Brave potion can have a great amplitude effect on 7th-level Imperial Spiritual Masters. When used on Jason, a 5th-level Senior Sect Spiritual Master, it is simply a waste of natural resources. But at this time, Jason drank bottle after bottle without even blinking or hesitating. It was as if what he drank was not some powerful elixir, but some of the most common low-level elixirs. If all the people below knew the functions and grades of these elixirs, they would all jump up and curse. As Jason continued to take the spiritual potion, Jason's spiritual power fluctuations continued to rise. By the time he drank the last bottle of spiritual potion, Jason's aura had reached an extremely terrifying state. Such terrifying spiritual power fluctuations were transmitted, and even Cornhill's face changed color across from him. "You want to kill me with these magical potions? You are too naive." Cornhill sneered with a stern look on his face. Jason didn't speak. He knew that with his current strength, although he had reached an extremely strong level under the influence of so many magical potions, it might not be a big problem to defeat Cornhill, but killing him would not be a problem. Not easy. And the reason why he took so many spiritual potions was just to perform that extremely terrifying move. Chi-Chi, the spiritual god technique in Jason's body, started to work rapidly, and the strange black power in his body also beat slightly. An extremely subtle black, strange power and 5th-level advanced spiritual power were extracted by Jason alone, and then entered a meridian, and then gradually merged these two completely different powers together. The moment the two powers came into contact and merged, a thunderous sound erupted from Jason's body, and powerful and terrifying spiritual power rose up and spread continuously. Dense beads of sweat suddenly appeared on Jason's forehead, but his mind did not dare to relax at all. A trace of pain continued to stimulate Jason's nerves, but a flash of ecstasy flashed in Jason's eyes. With the last experience, Jason already has some understanding of this process. During the last fusion process, the meridians in Jason's body burst instantly at the very beginning. But this time, except for a slight apart from the swelling and pain, the meridians are still intact. This is precisely because Jason's physical strength has entered the 8th-level Emperor level. At the same time, compared with the last 4th-level high-level spiritual power, the spiritual power in Jason's body has also been upgraded from the 4th-level high-level spiritual power to the 5th-level high-level spiritual power. Jason breathed out slightly, and after a slight pause, he quickly fused the two energies together. Crack, crackle, continuous small popping sounds came from Jason's body, and the two forces began to gradually compress. However, it was obvious that while compressing, Jason was also bearing the force of two different forces. Backlash. However, with the experience from the last time, Jason is somewhat familiar with the road this time, and it is not as difficult as the last time. Hey, that's weird. What was Jace doing after taking the elixir? Yeah, floating there motionless. It's really weird. Everyone in the crowd below saw Jace after taking the elixir. After that, it floated there quietly without any movement, which filled their hearts with doubts. Not far away, Cornhill also frowned. He could feel that although the aura exuding from Jason's body was powerful before, its attributes were lower than that of his 7th-level Imperial Spiritual Master. But at this moment, he felt that he had never been able to breathe. Jason's body was faintly conveying an extremely terrifying aura. What the hell is this kid doing? Cornhill wondered in his heart, and swung his sword at the same time. Whoosh! A golden sword light instantly cut through the sky and flew towards Jason. Jason swayed violently, dodged the attack of Cornhill's sword, and then continued to float over there without launching an attack. Boom! At this moment, a thunderous roar suddenly came from Jason's body. Jason groaned, his face looked a little pale, and at the same time an extremely powerful force suddenly rose from his body. The coercion conveyed by this wave was so terrifying that Cornhill's 7th level spiritual consciousness couldn't help but tremble. What kind of power is this? It's so terrifying. The people with low strength below completely lost their ability to resist under this power. They all showed fear on their faces, and their legs were weak. Boom boom, blood mist suddenly burst out from Jason's body, and his body swayed, but he still stood proudly in the sky, with a cold expression and sharp eyes. Those two powers, under Jason's tenacious belief, continued to merge. Finally, there was only a slight difference between the two powers before they could be completely integrated together. Last time, Jason failed at this last step, fell short of success. But that's just because Jason, who was a 4th level senior spiritual master at the time, had unstable spiritual power in his body. But this time, Jason, who has been promoted to a 5th level senior spiritual master, has full confidence in his heart. We can't let this kid go on like this anymore. Not far away, Cornhill's face had completely changed color. Although he didn't know what Jason was doing at the moment, his intuition as a 7th level Imperial spiritual master made him feel a great uneasiness in his heart. Boy, go to hell! The spiritual power in his body roared instantly, and a large amount of golden sword light condensed like lightning, and then rushed towards Jason, trying to stop Jason's behavior. However, under the influence of a large number of elixirs, Jason's speed and strength were improved to a higher level. The lightning wings on his back kept flashing, and while fusing the two forces, he dodged all of Cornhill's attacks. Cornhill's uneasiness grew stronger. His pupils instantly turned golden, and thousands of golden lights reflected from his body, forming a hazy shadow. Countless golden streams of light continued to condense in front of him, and then continued to swim, finally forming a golden sword rainbow with a faint red glow. Die! Cornhill roared angrily, and the dark red golden sword rainbow aimed at Jason like lightning. Ong! The golden sword rainbow, rotating at high speed, pierced the void and blocked the world. The speed brought by the powerful spiritual power made it difficult for Jason to dodge. At this moment, the two different powers in Jason's body finally merged completely with his efforts. An indescribable terrifying force suddenly rose from Jason's body. The terrifying pressure was like the coming of darkness, making the hair on Cornhill's body stand up instantly. As for the people below, their hearts were pounding and they were extremely depressed. Ignoring the ecstasy in his heart, at this moment, between life and death, the spiritual Goddard in Jason's body started to work crazily. A ball of light burst out from his eyes, and then he flicked with his fingers. Call out! A black stream of light, like a cold star, shot out from Jason's finger and turned into a stream of light, like a meteor, rushing towards the flying dark golden sword rainbow like lightning. Under the gaze of countless nervous eyes at the bottom of the square, two streams of light, one black and one gold, quickly flashed and disappeared in the air. Finally, they collided fiercely, like two meteors colliding. Boom! An uncontrollable and earth-shaking explosion suddenly exploded in the void. After the loud noise, there was a collision of energy that was spitting out like a volcanic eruption. The two extremely fierce energies, as soon as they touched in mid-air, madly released each other's terrifying energy. Destructive energy spread out from the void, and ripples appeared in the empty space at this moment. Even the illusory air was blurred and distorted by the powerful energy collision. The splendid spiritual light exploded in the blue sky, sweeping across the sky like a wave of fire. In an instant, the temperature of this world suddenly increased a lot. In everyone's stupid eyes, the black energy released by Jason instantly swallowed up the dark golden sword rainbow released by Cornhill, and then rumbled towards the horrified Cornhill not far away. No! Cornhill let out a horrified roar, his eyes widened, and golden light spurted out from his body instantly, trying to block the attack of the black power. However, under the crushing force of that terrifying black energy, Cornhill's body shot down from the sky like a tennis ball being hit hard by a racket, and then crashed into the competition platform below with a loud bang, causing smoke and dust to rise all over the sky. Along the way, scarlet blood spread all over the sky like a bright blood rainbow. In Rainbow City, countless people looked up stupidly at Cornhill, who fell from the sky, their eyes filled with horror. The black energy swept across the sky. Even though it was thousands of meters away, the terrifying aura still made people sweat profusely and make them fall to their knees in fear. What kind of spiritual skill is this? Such destructive power is too terrifying. Is this really a spiritual skill released by a 20-year-old boy? Everyone had shock on their faces and murmured in their hearts. Voice. There was silence in the huge city. Everyone swallowed dryly, and a tremor spread from the depths of their hearts. If this powerful attack sounded directly on the competition stage, I am afraid that the entire square and the city lord's palace will be razed to the ground by this terrifying force, right? Even Lord Cornhill, a 7th-level Imperial Spiritual Master, was instantly knocked away by this terrifying attack. At this moment, the entire Tianhong city, instantly petrochemical in the sky, Jason was breathing heavily, and there were bursts of severe pain in all parts of his body. However, he didn't notice it at all, and stared blankly at the terrifying aura that filled the sky, with a look on his face. He was shocked. The last time he failed, Jason also heard from Loken the horrific scene where he was lying, so he already had some idea of the terrifying power caused by the fusion of these two powers. Prepared, but after being actually seen at this moment, he still couldn't help being surprised. A powerful and terrifying mushroom cloud filled the sky and lingered for a long time. Jason lowered his head. Whoosh! In people's shocked and dull eyes, Jason dropped from the sky holding a black épée and landed on the competition stage. The smoke-filled competition platform was full of rocks, covered with cracks and potholes of various sizes. These are all traces left over from previous competitions. And in the middle of the competition platform, Cornhill was lying there, he said. There were constant moaning sounds. The previous powerful impact caused the competition platform under his body to crack horribly. The pools of blood were shocking. I said, I will kill you, and I always keep my word. Looking at Cornhill, who was lying there seriously injured and unable to move, Jason said indifferently. Cornhill raised his head with difficulty and looked at Jason standing in front of him, with a gleam of fear in his eyes, and his whole body trembling. He wanted to say something, but he just coughed up 2 mouthfuls of blood. The terrifying impact earlier caused all his internal organs to burst, and the meridians in his body became a mess. Die. A cold light flashed in Jason's eyes, and the black heavy sword in his hand suddenly fell down. The heavy sword struck Cornhill's body, and the terrifying spiritual power crushed him down. The spiritual power continued to impact like waves. Under this powerful force, he was seriously injured and could not resist at all. Cornhill's whole body suddenly turned into a puddle of flesh. Silence. Deathly silence in the entire square. Dead? Cohen, the famous patriarch of the Natan family in Tianluo City in Chi'er province and a 7th-level low-level Imperial Spiritual Master Master Hill, actually died like this? This is unbelievable. The way everyone looked at Jason had completely changed. It was a look of awe and incomparable reverence, just like the one standing in front of them at this moment. That boy was not a human being, but a god, which made people afraid to look directly at him. They had watched the entire previous battle with their eyesight, and Jason had completely relied on his own ability to kill Cornhill. You know, defeating and killing a 7th-level Imperial Spiritual Master are completely different things. Master Lord Jace. Seeing Jason chop Cornhill into a pulp with a sword, Luo Kuan, Kester, and others rushed up from under the competition platform. No, it's impossible, and under Luo Kuan, it's impossible. On the Qi family side, Patriarch Birkbai and others were completely dumbfounded. The reason why they had the confidence to confront the Mori family was entirely because of the support of Cornhill. But now, after the death of Cornhill, his heart completely panicked. Lord Nanluer, what should we do now? At the seat of the Loki family, Birkby spoke in fear to an old man beside him with an anxious look on his face. This old man is Elder Nanluer, who came with Cornhill from the Natan family. He is one of the only 3 6th-level senior spiritual masters in the Natan family. What should I do? You ask me what should I do? This is something that happened before your 2 major families, the Loki family and the Mori family. What does it have to do with my Natan family? Seeing the death of Cornhill, Nanluor was already panicked. He turned towards the competition platform. Just walk to the exit. Looking at Kester and the others who were full of excitement and didn't know what to say, Jason turned his eyes to the seat of the Loki family with a cold expression. Then the blue-purple lightning wings behind him suddenly expanded and he rose into the sky, aimed at Nanluor's location and flew away quickly. Whoosh, the blue-purple figure was like a ray of lightning, piercing the sky, and instantly arrived at the north seat and caught up with Nanluor's figure. You, what do you want to do? Seeing Jason's this action, Nanluor's face was filled with horror. I was so frightened that I made a sound and then shouted to the City Lord's seat, City Lord Odlin, I am the elder of the Natan family and have nothing to do with the Loki family. As the City Lord of Rainbow City, why don't you stop him quickly? As the City Lord of Rainbow City, Odlin has the responsibility to maintain public security in the city, and he also has the obligation to protect the people. If someone commits an offense in Rainbow City, he should naturally take care of it. But at this moment, when he heard Nanluor's plea for help, he seemed not to hear it. His face was expressionless and he ignored it. Jason fell from the sky like a meteor, with cold eyes. The black épée in his hand was aimed at Nanluor and struck hard. Boom, the powerful aura of the black épée made the spiritual elements in the air riot. Get Up is like an invisible whirlwind, covering Nanluor below. As a 6th-level senior spiritual master, Nanluor was considered a powerful figure in Tianluo City. However, after seeing the miserable appearance of the leader of the Cornhill clan, he could not think of any resistance at this moment. Just desperately running away. P.S. The moment the black heavy sword fell, Nanluor felt in horror that the space around him seemed to be frozen, and his body seemed to be trapped in a quagmire. At this moment, even the surrounding sounds were heard. Gone. Poof. The black heavy sword fell on Nanluor's body easily, and Nanluor's body from head to toe instantly turned into a puddle of flesh. In the square, all the people looked at this scene in stunned silence. Birkby and others from the Loki family were even more horrified. With just one sword, Nanluor, a 6th-level senior spiritual master, was killed. In fact, if Nanluor dared to muster up the courage to resist, Jason, who had consumed a lot of spiritual power in his body due to the fusion of supernatural powers and suffered injuries everywhere, might not be able to do it so easily. He killed him, but because of the previous battle between Jason and Cornhill, Danan Roll had already been frightened. As a member of the Natan family, Nanluor is deeply aware of the power of the Cornhill clan leader. Even he is in the right hand of his opponent. How dare he, a small 6th-level senior Ahan spiritual master, dare to? There was some resistance. After killing Nanluor, Jason set his sights on Birkby of the Loki family. As a 6th-level intermediate spiritual master, Birkby is already the strongest person on the field among the 2 major families, the Natan family and the Loki family. Escape. Sensing Jason's cold gaze, which was as cold as the ice of the North Plains, Birkby roared, and then madly rushed towards the crowd. And all the members of the Loki family came back to their senses from the shock, and ran away with panic on their faces. At this moment, the thoughts of unifying Rainbow City and killing the Mori family completely disappeared. At this moment, there was only one thought in their minds, which was to escape and stay away from the devil. Fight. spiritual power trembled. The black heavy sword in Jason's hand was pointed at the Birkby clan leader in the distance and fell lightly. During the flash of red light, a fiery red sword light was like a fire phoenix soaring in the sky, roaring and sweeping across to Birkby. At the same time, a mental wave shot out from Jason's eyes, turned into a void sword wave, and sank into the body of the Birkby patriarch like lightning. The spiritual power fluctuations on the running Birkby's body dimmed instantly, and the fiery red sword light split Birkby in half from behind. Blood was thrown into the sky and fell down like sad cherry blossoms in full bloom. All the people on the scene could not help but shudder in their hearts. Nan Luor, the elder of the Naton family, and Birkby, the patriarch of the Loki family. One of these two people is a 6th-level senior spiritual master, and the other is a 6th-level intermediate spiritual master. In the eyes of these ordinary people, each of them needs to look up to them. He is a well-known person, but in front of this young man, he is just like chopping vegetables and melons, one sword at a time, killing so decisively that people can't help but feel terrible. After killing these two people, Jason stood on the seat next to the competition platform with a sword in hand, and set his sights on the Kester clan leader on the competition platform. Feeling the information in Jason's eyes, combined with Jason's previous actions, Kester quickly and secretly issued an order to several core members of the Mori family to hunt down the Loki family members throughout the city. Although Rainbow City is a game, large-scale family conflagrations and killings are generally not allowed in the cities of the London Empire, but Kester also understands the principle of constantly resisting and suffering from chaos. There is absolutely no room for maneuver between the Mori family and the Loki family. Letting the other party leave will only let the tiger go back to the mountain, leaving a future of troubles, rather than decisively killing its core members secretly. Anyway, after Jason killed Nan Luor and Birkby, now there are no masters in Tianhong City. There are only 2 6th-level low-level spiritual masters left in the Loki family. With the Mori family with his strength, he can completely eat it. Seeing that Kester understood what he meant, Jason couldn't help but secretly nodded in his heart. That's all he can do for the Mori family. It's impossible for Jason to help the Mori family. All the members of the Loki family were killed one by one. As for the rest, it depends on the performance of the Mori family themselves. After such a commotion, the whole square suddenly became noisy. Many people were extremely excited to see such a wonderful scene. At the same time, their legs became weak and their whole bodies trembled. Everyone. At this moment, the city lord Odlin stood up. His expression was extremely serious, and he said loudly, "Chief Cornhill of the Naton family despises the laws of the Empire. In our 2 major families in Rainbow City, during the decisive battle, he obstructed the decisive battle and openly killed members of the Mori family. In the end, he was killed by members of the Mori family. The members of the Mori family acted in self-defense. I will report the incident to the Chi'er province and the Empire on behalf of Rainbow City. I hope that everyone present should take this as a lesson." Listening to Odlin's announcement, Chief Kester couldn't help but reveal a hint of joy on his face. With Lord Odlin's announcement, at least in the right sense, the Mori family there will be no punishment from the Empire. This life-and-death battle between the 2 families finally ended with the death of Cornhill. All the people of Rainbow City will never forget this day in their lives. The death of a 7th-level low-level Imperial spiritual master is rare in the entire history of Rainbow City. Especially, the one who killed Cornhill was a young man who was only about 20 years old, caused a sensation in Hongqing today. The Salem Empire, one of the 4 great empires, is not without Imperial spiritual masters in their 20s. However, those characters are all the top peerless geniuses in the Empire. Any actions of any one of them will cause the Empire to be furious. Where would it appear in such an ordinary small town? While all the people were talking about it, Jason, the initiator of the incident, had already returned to the Mori family's mansion. In the room, Jason was sitting cross-legged, feeling the damaged meridians and injured body in his body, constantly running his spiritual power to nourish his body. The effects of the violent king's potion and other spiritual potions have faded away. Jason is extremely exhausted after a great battle. However, his spirit is extremely exciting. Today's battle has benefited him a lot. This time, it's him. Faced with a powerful imperial spiritualist alone, in the past, whenever he encountered an imperial spiritualist, he could only avoid him due to his strength. However, this time, he truly recognized the name of Cornhill. The 7th level low-level imperial spiritual master was killed all by his own abilities. This filled Jason's heart with excitement and pleasure, just like when he first prepared a 7th level imperial potion in his previous life. That kind of excitement is beyond words. In his previous life as a child, Jason's biggest dream was to become a powerful spiritual master. However, due to his physical condition, he could only embark on the path of technical spiritual medicine alone. Although he has achieved world-renowned achievements on this path, he is followed by countless strong men. As long as he speaks to kill a 7th level imperial spiritual master, countless people will help him do it, even 8th level ones. Imperial spirit masters, and even 9th level holy spirit masters, were all trembling with fear in front of him. But this feeling was fundamentally different from killing in person. Today's battle made him feel the blood boiling, which was different from preparing spirit masters. The potions have the same effect, but they are also very different. But Jason also knows that he still needs to constantly improve his strength. If there were not those powerful spiritual potions to improve his physical fitness today, although he can also successfully release the wrath of God, but his body will definitely be seriously injured, and he will not be like today. After killing Cornhill, he can still defeat Nan Luor and Birkby. People were killed. At the same time, Jason also discovered an extremely serious problem, that is, the black weird power in his body is too rare and cannot sustain him in a long-term battle. The black weird power can be obtained by running the spiritual god art, however, every time the spiritual god technique is run in the body, the black weird power obtained is extremely rare. Whether it is to activate the golden ball or the cyan ball, it requires constant consumption of black weird power, and the fusion of different forces is even more in this way. Coupled with the treatment of the body, Jason found that there was a serious lack of black strange power in his body. In this regard, he has no other choice but to rely on the continuous operation of the spiritual god art to strengthen the black weird power in his body. As his strength increases, Jason also increasingly understands the importance of the black weird power. Benefits, but with his current strength, he still can't understand what kind of power this is. In this way, Jason sat cross-legged in the room and practiced until nightfall in the evening. Then he exhaled and stood up. Master. As soon as Jason opened the door, he saw Loken standing respectfully at the door. How long have you been standing here? Jason frowned. It didn't take long. Loken said awkwardly. Jason shook his head. He has told Loken many times that he doesn't need anyone to guard him, but every time Loken will stand guard at the door for him, which makes Jason feel sad. I couldn't help but feel a little speechless. Although he is a bit lazy, he is not so noble. He needs someone to protect him when he comes in and out, and he needs someone to serve him when eating and dressing. Even when they were in King Orlando's royal city, as maids, Claire and the others' daily tasks were just to wash his clothes and clean the room. This is the last time. Jason's eyes turned cold unconsciously. Feeling Jason's cold tone, Luoquan nodded hurriedly. Master, father has been waiting for you for a long time. He said that as soon as you finish practicing, he will go to the family meeting hall. Look? Luoquan said. Road. Jason nodded and said, let's go. The Mori family meeting hall was busy at the moment. The patriarch Kester was sitting on a side chair, constantly listening to reports from all sides. Because of the deaths of Cornhill, Nanroll, and Birkby, the entire Loki family has become a mess, and many members have fled individually. This gave the Mori family every opportunity to defeat them, and what surprised Kester was that instead of stopping the actions of the Mori family's PS family, the Lord of Aldrin City gave him strong support in all aspects. In this half-day, the Mori family has regained control of the situation in Rainbow City, and many properties belonging to the Loki family have also been taken back by the Mori family. This made Kester's heart extremely happy, and Jason's heart was also filled with immense gratitude. Just when Kester, Marconi, Locke and others were discussing the family's future strategy, Jason and Locke Khan walked in from the outside. Lord Jace seeing Jason, he stood up hurriedly and came forward to greet him. All the elders and core members of the family in the meeting hall also stood up and looked at Jason with eyes full of excitement and respect. Lord Jess, without you this time, our Mori family would be really in danger. I'm afraid it's not impossible to annihilate the family. Your great kindness, the Mori family cannot repay. What will happen to me in the future? As ordered, the Mori family is at their disposal. Kester came to Jason with a serious expression and spoke extremely solemnly, while the rest of the people behind him also looked at Jason with excited eyes. They all know that the best words of the Kester patriarch are not exaggerated in the slightest. If Jason hadn't arrived in time, Cornhill alone could have defeated the entire Mori family. It would be impossible for the Mori family to do so. There is now. You're welcome, Chief Kester. Since Loken is my disciple, I will naturally not just sit back and watch the Mori family's affairs, Jason said with a smile. Loken, you must be extremely loyal to Lord Jace when you follow him from now on. If you do anything to disgrace Lord Jace, your father will never let you off lightly, Kester said to the person behind Jason. Loken spoke sternly. My child knows, Luoquan nodded repeatedly. Life is so wonderful. If it weren't for Loken's kindness, which accidentally saved Jason, Jason wouldn't have learned about the secret realm of the spirit pool from Loken, and he would have saved the entire Mori family in the family competition. And if it weren't for the Mori family's quota, Jason wouldn't be able to enter the secret realm of the spirit pool. And if it weren't for entering the secret realm of the spirit pool, Jason's strength wouldn't have improved so much, and he would kill him in turn. Cornhill once again saved the Mori family. Life is like this. The evolution of big things in any year is often caused by a small thing. After chatting casually with Kester and others, a piece of paper was handed to Locke's hand. Master Locke, please bring the materials on this paper to my room later, and then fill the bathtub in the mansion with water for me. Locke took the paper. I saw that there were more than 10 kinds of elixir materials densely written on it. Most of the materials were just ordinary materials, and some of the more precious ones were not difficult to find with the power of the Mori family, but the quantity of the materials was relatively small. Don't worry, Master Jace. After half an hour, no more than an hour at most, I will find what you want, Locke said solemnly. Locke's efficiency is indeed very fast. After a moment's effort, a large number of the materials were all transported to the Mori family's bathhouse, and the bathhouse was filled with extremely clear water. After seeing that the materials had arrived, Jason opened all the material cabinets and poured all kinds of herbs and powders into the bath. Suddenly, a very strange smell filled the bath. Gurgling, as all the materials were added, the water in the pool actually started to boil. Kester and others also gathered around the bathtub, watching Jason's actions curiously. Although they didn't understand what Jason was doing at the moment, after passing by, Locke changed from a 5th-level intermediate elixir master to after being promoted to the 5th-level senior elixir master. Kester and others were very impressed by Jason's weird attainments in elixir science. Loken, please prepare, Jason said. Later, when I let you in, just go in. Loken's eyes widened, looking at the boiling and steaming pool water with doubts in his eyes. Well, this pool of water is what I use to treat your diseases. Although the wood vitality potion can also treat your body, you have to take a bottle every once in a while, which not only takes a long time, but also makes the body react to its dependent. You can call this pool of water the wood spirit pool. As long as you soak in it once, you will no longer have to worry about physical weakness in the future. Jason said as he turned over his hands and took out a fist-sized blood-red spar. This fist-sized spar glowed with dazzling red light. It was Jason who knocked it from the blood abyss essence. A piece of crystal. In full view of everyone, Jason threw the crystal in his hand directly into the bath. Puff, the crystal fell into the pool. Strangely, a dazzling green light lit up in the wood spirit pond, which was very dazzling. Immediately, the water in the entire wood spirit pond began to boil crazily, bubbling and exploding continuously. A large amount of cyan air flow swirled around the surface of the pond, like green dragons soaring around.